Book 3. The Council of the Ages. Chapter 4. Part 1. The fact of bringing together the most outstanding warriors of their generation for a mission concrete is already something extraordinary, but let us not forget the consequences of one's own Council for the History of Shanaris, the Council of the Ages. Author, de Bisna-Tarolgin. After the hectic presentation they were taken to their chambers to enjoy a short rest before dinner. The rooms chosen to accommodate them were not located in the best area of the Palace of Heaven. However, Arian could see the golden dome of the Room of Creation and the great waterfall from his quarters. It was already dusk, the sun was setting behind the waterfall and the dome. The twilight made the water of the waterfall take on a color between reddish and golden. For an instant it reminded him of the waterfall of 1,000 colors. Arras came to wake her from her reverie. They've had trouble accommodating Sabu, but there's a barn next door and he's going to be able to rest more or less well. Arian smiled. Gosberg's son was already used to his large size causing him certain problems. And the rest? They are on the lower floor. Gosberg has protested since, according to him, the sheets he has on the bed are of human manufacture and not elf. And what does that matter? Well, it's an elf kingdom. The first kingdom, everything should be of elf origin. Arian smiled. The Denka always came up with very strange things. They won't have time to knit bedding, perhaps. Or they don't consider us worthy of the elves, Arian. I'm still surprised to be alive here. Arian took a seat next to Arras and grabbed her hand. You have been very strong. I know it's hard for you. This is where they inserted your father's head into a spear. In reality, it is past. We annihilate an elven kingdom. What I do not forgive is the Emperor's betrayal. But the elves did not treat my father's remains with a modicum of respect. There are more important things than that right now. The half-orc kissed her on the mouth, before acknowledging that she was right. It's for Shanari's sake. Arras whispered in an attempt to convince himself. Orcs, elves, and men live in Shanaris itself. If we don't destroy the threat that looms over us, no one in all of Shanaris will be safe. We must be united. United, this has not happened for thousands of years. The demons of the Black Abyss have not returned for thousands of years. The conversation ended abruptly. They fell silent. As the trip was organized in a hurry and there was a rush to get to Borderlania. The luggage they carried was the bare minimum, so they didn't have a proper outfit to wear to the dinner of honor. They must have used their current clothes. So they groomed themselves as best they could. In the evening they were called to attend the supper in honor of the Council of Ages. The mercenaries grouped together. They did not carry weapons, since it was forbidden to carry them at dinner. They trusted, they had the word of the great king of the elves. A chamberlain arrived to look for them and guide them to the great hall where the banquet was being held. The entourage went south of their rooms, surrounded by beautiful gardens. They walked for a long time. The dinner was held inside a large building with huge windows. The entrance to the service was full of waiters who crowded together with a certain disorder, bringing the food and drinks with which the great king wanted to give his guests. They had to wait their turn until they were announced by the chamberlain who guided them, although the way in which they were announced to the rest of the guests did not sit well with them at all. Arian, High Priestess of the god Elaban and her companions. His companions. They all looked down on the chamberlain, Arian's companions. The High Priestess had to calm the mercenary spirits by gesturing for them to descend the stairs with her. They were totally ignored after the announcement. The great hall was spectacular, a huge enclosure lit by elven stones. That gave a pink hue to the room. As was customary in Shanari's high society before dinner, there was a kind of banquet, where cold snacks were placed at a large table and waiters served drinks in beautiful glasses made of brightly colored glass. The guests chatted in a relaxed way. The group did not seem very comfortable in the midst of so many high-ranking guests, all in their gala clothes and spectacular jewelry, while they wore their humble mercenary field clothes. The first to join was Gosberg as always, who ordered 2 drinks and began to talk to a guest dressed in stranger's clothes. Colors. Arian was invited to go to the great king of the elves who requested her presence. So after a while they ended up dispersing. Except for Agnorok, Kush, the Kendali, the orcs, and Sabu, who stayed in the background eating a little and isolated from the rest. Kritis and Tanya had moved away from the group to go get some drinks since the waiters did not approach the group of mercenaries that were located in the background. Dwarfs were used to the indifference of others, after all, they were dwarfs. Tanya did not get along particularly well with Kritis. The ancient enmity between the dwarfs of the hills and the dwarfs of the ridge was something that conditioned their relationship. Tanya was very careful to stay away from the entourage of the Dragon Dorsal Kingdom. In the distance she could see her father drinking and chatting animatedly with some members of his entourage. There was Ankana. As she detested that dwarf, he was Derek's younger brother. He also led the Protectors of the Throne, the king's personal guard. He would surely blame him for his brother's death. A pity he wasn't in the blood mines. Many better dwarfs than him had died there. And he did not die in the Battle of Burning Hill either, since like a good rat he had the talent of sneaking away in difficult moments. The dwarf decided to drink to forget her sorrows and hatreds. That's when they approached a bartender to get some drink that, although it wasn't beer, at least made the stay at the party somewhat enjoyable. Kritis. How many years without seeing you? The dwarf turned his head in surprise. He didn't expect any of the guests to know his name.